Welcome to another edition of the Mael Time podcast. I'm Daniel Mael. Today, I'm going to be kicking off a new series on the allegations against Oren and Alon Alexander, real estate agents, head of a security company, who are accused of a host of things, including sex trafficking and rape, drugging women over a period of decades. It's become clear that there are a lot of issues in how the story is being portrayed in the media, or the alleged media that's being paid by actually the law firms that are representing some of the plaintiffs. It's pretty clear once you start putting that together. And this is not to say that I want any of those three people as my friends. This is not to say that I think that they're upstanding gentlemen. This is not to say that they're flawless. It's just to say that they deserve a fair shake, and that in America, we believe in innocent until proven guilty. And it's important to analyze these cases on the merits and not just based on the most sensationalized media coverage. And the more I look into this, the more it looks like there's a lot of sensationalism. And that's not to say that these three gentlemen are without fault. Again, I'm not analyzing whether or not they did or didn't do certain things. But what I'm trying to hammer at is they deserve a fair shake. What they're charged with is tremendous. It potentially leaves them in prison for life. And it's important that they get a fair trial. And obviously, on a YouTube show, you're going to get a trial of public opinion. But I do think that they're not getting a fair shake on YouTube and other media outlets. And I want to explore case by case. So in this episode, I'm just going to focus on the first case that dropped. It was filed on March 8th, 2024. Rebecca Mandel against Alon Alexander and Oren Alexander, represented by Torgan, Cooper, and Aaron. This is filed under the Adult Survivors Act, and this action seeks compensatory and punitive damages to redress injuries plaintiff Rebecca Mandel has suffered and will continue to suffer as a result of being drugged, sexually harassed, assaulted, abused, and raped in or around September 2010. So this is 14 years later, and for other sexual offenses as set out in Article 130 of the New York Penal Law by defendants Alon and Oren Alexander, their residence. Okay, and as we go, they were living downtown. This case involves, and I'm quoting from the case that was filed by Rebecca Mandel. At all times relevant herein, the defendants maintained a residence located at 55 West 26th Street, New York, 10010. This case involves horrific and terrifying acts of drug-facilitated sexual assault, abuse, and rape committed by defendants against plaintiff at the above referenced residence. In or around 2009, plaintiff was introduced to defendants after meeting them at SL nightclub. Rebecca was 18 at the time. Says in the months to follow, plaintiff would often run into defendants at various restaurants, clubs, and social events around New York City. Plaintiff saw defendants out socially with such frequency that she deemed them to be acquaintances. So they became kind of friendly, I guess. One evening in or around September 2010, plaintiff bumped into the defendants at SL nightclub. The club was relatively empty this night, and after seeing a familiar face, the defendants struck up a conversation with plaintiff. Not out of the ordinary. People at a bar, they know each other, they're talking. Thereafter, Alon insisted on buying plaintiff a drink, and plaintiff accepted the offer. Alon then disappeared into the crowd and returned several minutes later with a drink for plaintiff. Notably, this was the first drink that plaintiff consumed that evening. Shortly after drinking the beverage, plaintiff's memory of the night became hazy. Upon information and belief, Alon had intentionally drugged plaintiff's drink with an unknown substance, resulting in significant impairment to her physical and mental being. So the accusation here is that Alon put date rape drug into her drink, gave it to her, and Rebecca basically was unable to function. So assuming that this is what happened and going along with that case, presumably she wouldn't really be able to remember much because she's saying it was hazy. Then it says, after the effects of the intoxicating substance had set in, defendants said that their friend was throwing a party and urged plaintiff to tag along. Plaintiff and defendants then exited the SL nightclub. Defendants hailed a cab and provided the driver with an address. The car took off and eventually stopped in front of a Chelsea apartment building where plaintiff was led to believe the quote-unquote party was being held. Now, again, if this young woman had been subject to a date rape drug, she's, by her own admission, saying that she's not able to make decisions, there's a chance that her memory on this is just not correct. Just throwing it out there. I'm not saying that she's not telling the truth. I'm just saying that in a case of a civil case, and certainly in a criminal case, it's something that has to be considered. As defendants and plaintiff entered the building and made their way to the apartment door, plaintiff sensed something was wrong. Again, she's alleging that she'd been drugged, yet immediately knew something was wrong as she was going into the building. The hallway was silent. There was no music, no voices, nothing that would indicate that a party was being held at this location. At this moment, plaintiff realized that she had been deceived. She had been taken to the defendant's apartment. Plaintiff was frustrated and upset over having been misled. She voiced her discontent and attempted to leave, but defendants assured her that they would just hang out for a little bit. Plaintiff regretfully obliged and entered the apartment. Moments after entering the apartment, plaintiff was sexually abused, assaulted, pinned, groped, harassed, battered, and fondled by defendants. Alon held plaintiff down while Oren penetrated her. I'm going to not use certain language here, but defendants would then switch positions, repeatedly raping plaintiff. Plaintiff is not and was not the only victim to fall prey to defendants' heinous acts. For years, defendants have engaged in similar pattern of schemes, acts, and conduct with different women. Again, that's speculative and hearsay, not relevant to what this young woman is alleging. This is not to say at all that if this is true, that their behavior is acceptable. But in the context of what did or didn't happen, it just has to be said that that's not relevant to this case particularly. So you have an allegation that something happens, and then 14 years later, something's filed. And this is one of the allegations that really got everything started in 2024 against the Alexander brothers. They're saying it's okay, true. Defendant says it's true. Damages. Okay, so the filing is 9 pages. This is the filing. Again, this is not to say that they're necessarily innocent. It's just to say, let's deal with the facts as they're told. And this was the first case. It's Rebecca Mandel against Alon Alexander and Oren Alexander. And rather than just reading sensationalized articles and sensationalized attacks on YouTube, what I plan to do here is to actually go case by case and examine what's actually said so people can draw their own conclusion. And if Oren and Alon actually did this, and there's proof of it, and they deserve everything that's coming their way. But if they didn't, they deserve to have their lives returned to them. I'm not the jury. I'm not the judge. I'm just looking to see what the facts actually are.